I want to divorce husband but our son has autism. Married 7 years. I have been thinking about divorcing my husband since last year. Been together for 7 years. Why I'm holding back? 1. He is an amazing dad to our son. I had my son prior to meeting him. He helped me raise my son since he was a year old. Absolutely no complaints about him being a great father. He treats him like his own and I know he loves my son more than me. Part of the reason I married him. 2. Our son has autism, but is on the high-functioning side of the spectrum. He has high emotional needs. I tried asking him last year what he would feel if me and his dad broke up. He cried and I never asked again. I thought I would just suck it up until he was 18 and went to college. 3. We immigrated from Asia 5 years ago. My entire family is here, his is back home. Though the ideal situation post-divorce is us living near each other so he can still be a present father for my son, one thing I know he will absolutely fight for. In reality, he wouldn't be able to afford it or wouldn't have any family and friends to help him temporarily, so I know that most likely he would need to fly back home. 4. We are both college students in our undergrad. We entered college late in life, mid-20s, because we wanted to fix our lives up. I already have employment locked in starting next year that pays well, but he is still a sophomore and getting a good paying job in the Bay Area with no degree might be hard for him. 5. He does everything at home. He cooks and cleans, does the laundry, does grocery shopping. I all used to do it before I met him, but going into a competitive college, I use all my time studying. He never complains and does it to support me. It makes sense because his love language is acts of service. 6. We never fight, so technically my son may not be seeing anything negative. But this is explained further below. Why I want a divorce. 1. We don't fight because he is a gaslighter and I just gave up trying. I've been trying to tell him how we've become roommates for the past few years, like intimate only less than 10 times a year and only lasts less than 5 minutes each, and that we needed to work on intimacy. He says it's all in my head. Every time I try to bring a problem into our conversations, he gets irritated and says I'm overreacting. 7 years and we've never fixed a problem. Just didn't talk to each other a few days and never talked about our issues again. I'm the one wanting to talk, but what is the point when he doesn't even acknowledge it in the first place? 2. I tried to leave him a few years ago after he lied to me about going to a party with his friends but they actually went to a strip club. I asked for a divorce and he hit me. I tried to leave and he got on top of me and pushed my face down against the floor. I had bruising afterwards. Honestly, I am scared to make him mad too because he might hit me again. 3. I know he isn't attracted to me anymore, and him. I've never been his type. I know that for sure. I've been in relationships with guys who were in love with me and I know what that looks and feels like. I've never felt that with him. 4. I was in a bad place when I married him. I had absolutely no self-love and self-respect. 3 years ago I started going to therapy and taking antidepressants. I got in a better place mentally and I'm not as clouded with my need for attention and acceptance anymore compared to when I met him. 5. I'm just not happy anymore. There's a big disconnect. When me and him are alone in the home we don't even stay in the same room. We just do our own stuff and go on our phones. We are literally roommates. 6. I don't love him anymore. If he started cheating on me right now I couldn't care less. So I'm posting it on here because I really need outside perspectives and I don't know what to do. It is a bad marriage, but he is a good father. Choosing to divorce him would be choosing myself over my son, and I'm willing to sacrifice 10 more years of a miserable marriage until my son goes off to college. Comment. You asked for divorce and he hit you so hard that you were left on the floor with bruises. That's all that matters here. You need a divorce, and him leaving country would be the best thing for you and your son. Him not being biological father is great, better chance to limit/disallow visitations. If you do nothing you will spend another decade in fear and he will teach your son to treat you the same way he does. I can go on for pages on how I relate so much for your reasons for divorce but I won't. I'll just say that I am married to a gaslighting, stonewalling, sociopathic man who seems to thrive on cruelty. When you're young and busy, it's harder to see the person for what they are, but when you finally see the big picture, it's insane. I've spent more than 20 years because of children, but I'm gonna tell you that your reasons are valid. He will never change or improve, never own his part in any of it. It only gets worse. Run. Run and don't change your mind. And what happens when the kid is older and acts out, as, you know, kids do? How far will he let him push until he decided to hit him? I'm thinking 1. You're not my real dad gets the kid's nose broken. Uneasy face. Up. You may think he would never hurt your son, but abusers most often abuse anyone close to them. Divorce him. Don't ask, just talk to an attorney and make a plan for you to safely get him out of your house and your lives. Right, like kids cry when you say they need to get their shots or eat veggies or go to sleep at a decent hour or stop throwing things at the TV or stop cutting the hair off of their Barbies or to stop screaming in the car or to stop drawing with Sharpies on the wall or to stop putting hair clips on the dog. Anything makes them cry. You'll never ever be able to prevent your child from feeling pain or sadness in their life, autistic or not. So stop trying. The important thing you do is teach them how to deal with feelings of sadness and demonstrate you'll always be there for them when they need you. And then you go get yourself a divorce. Your son will survive and you will both be better for it. This actually completes the picture. Up opens conversation, guy shuts down, son or husband, up backs off and nothing changes. Rinse and repeat. Up is rewarding these avoidance behaviors by stopping the convo / not talking for a few days. They want it to go away and it does. Success. Some things are just going to hurt the other person and you have to be able to accept that. That does not at all make you a bad person. You can even empathize and still do the hard and painful thing. For their part, they need to learn to deal with issues and emotions that come with them instead of simply avoiding each time. You can be a facilitator or an enabler here. It's not your job to change your husband per se, but it can make your life better to learn skills that allow you to facilitate change in others when you want to. Change is hard and sometimes painful, but manageable. We learn this by doing it, managing through hard things. Best of luck, Up. Exactly. And from another parent who has been through this, my daughter still says to this day that she always wished we'd be divorced, even at a young age. She hated the tension and emotional pain I had. She loved her dad but she knew and it was painful. I allowed her to see a dysfunctional, painful marriage instead from two parents who were too stupid and caught up to realize the impact it made on the two children. That was shitty parenting, and when the realization finally hit me, it was pain I wish on no one. I can't undo it. Children deserve stability and happiness. Enduring that dysfunction was a shit parent move that was on both of us and I regret it constantly. Don't find this out too far down the road. Next story 2. My husband's niece does not like me and I don't know why. As the title states, my niece does not like me too much and never has. She has been this way ever since I started dating my husband in 2017. When he first introduced me to his family, his niece would always give me dirty looks and did not give me the time of day to get to know me. I have always been nice to her, but she did not just accept me. She also didn't want me to be a part of her Sweet 16 at the time, which I understood since I was a little new to the family and family had to walk in for the introduction. I wanted to help my husband and drop her off to church practices since he usually does that since he is in the music ministry himself, but he had things to do. She just looks annoyed and made jokes saying that she prays that we make it to her practice safe and sound. I was a little upset, but I gave her the benefit of the doubt. She would also give me real dirty looks when I came to help out the youth at my church and I never understood why. I think it's important to add that my husband's family comes from a Christian background. I have not always been Christian my entire life. I was born into Catholicism but converted into Christianity a few months before I started dating my husband. He helped me find God. Some of his family weren't happy about that. I have done a lot of things to help out my husband and his family and they have came to accept me except for her. As time went on after I got married in 2020, she accepted me after that, or so I thought. It seems ridiculous but we follow each other on Instagram. I noticed that she hasn't posted any stories for a few years now, so I came to check her profile and in the highlights section there were all sorts of stories that I haven't seen before. That means that she blocked me from seeing her things. No big deal, I do not care if she does that, she's still young. But what got me livid is that I saw pictures of my 8-month-old that she blocked me from seeing. If I never have checked her highlights, I would have never known these pictures of my daughter existed. I understand that she has not liked me, but I'm more mad at the fact that she's posting pictures of my daughter without my permission, and I have no idea about it. That is the last straw for me. I have mentioned this to my husband but he has tried to avoid this topic and thinks I'm crazy, which makes me more upset. How can I confront his niece without making a scene? How can I get along better with my husband's family? I love my husband with all my heart but I don't appreciate how he is helping me with this. and I don't know if I can move on if part of his family is being this shady. It makes me overthink what other things they might do behind my back. Comment. Ask your husband if he'd be willing to tell your niece not to post pictures of your baby online without asking your family first. This is a completely reasonable request. If he isn't willing for whatever reason, you will need to ask her yourself. Get your husband to look over your message if you're typing it to ensure it doesn't come across as passive-aggressive, as he probably has more experience communicating with his family. Hopefully he can manage that level of support. Again, it's a completely reasonable request that she should hopefully understand at her age. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are all Abrahamic religions, meaning they all have the same God. Catholicism, Baptist, Lutheran, etc. are denominations of Christianity. Orthodox Catholicism is the first Christian denomination. Their first leader, Pope Peter, was Jesus' apostle Simon, but he wasn't called Pope back then. Roman Catholicism broke off from the Orthodox Catholic Church. All other denominations came centuries later. Baptists taking the term Christian as their own pisses me off. Their religion didn't even show up until the 1400s. Catholicism is the closest direct tie to Jesus. I feel that other folks provided you with quality responses, so I won't repeat, but it's not really educational, it's more about what's taught based on religion. As stated by another person, if you are in the evangelical group, you are taught an extreme form of Protestantism that excludes Catholics. If you are just Protestant, you generally understand Catholics are Christian. I happen to live in a big city on the west coast of America, so there are all types of religions and groups here. A point to make though is a historical one. My mother's generation and older, I was told, called the Catholics Romans and viewed them as separate, but this very well could be because she grew up and her parents grew up in more conservative religious times. Americans in general have had a rough relationship with Catholics since the founding of the country, and this is most likely related to the Protestant religious growth in the country from European colonization, which brought with it the old rivalry and bitter sentiments of the religious wars of the 1600s. Catholicism is a different religion entirely from evangelicalism. Technically and theoretically the same gods and holy texts, but not really. Rituals, practices, and beliefs are surface similar, but that's it. Very different.